Do you like noodles? Well, I do. Why do the cheapest noodles at your supermarket have more geopolitical power than most trade agreements? First, from traditional bowl to global phenomenon. Noodles have been around in Asia for centuries. From northern China, they traveled to Japan, Korea, Thailand, and Indonesia. Each country wove its own identity into that steaming bowl. Japanese ramen was born from Chinese influences and became cheap urban food during the post-war years. But here's where it gets interesting. The real revolution wasn't the traditional dish itself. It was when someone decided to put centuries of culinary tradition into a package that anyone could prepare in 3 minutes without actually cooking. Think about that for a second. Centuries of tradition, perfected techniques, family recipes passed down through generations, all compressed into a brick of dried noodles and a flavor packet. But wait, if the tradition already existed, who had the guts to turn centuries of culinary culture into an instant product? And more importantly, why did it work? Why didn't people reject it as fake food? A bankrupt businessman, a shed in his backyard, and the idea that would forever change how the world eats. Second, 1958, the shed that fed Japan. Japan, 1958. The country is still recovering from World War II. The lines to get a hot bowl of noodles from black market vendors are endless. People are hungry, really hungry. And there's this guy, Momofuku Ando, watching it all, thinking, this Taiwanese-Japanese man is 48 years old and he's just lost almost everything. His credit union went bankrupt, but he's got an obsession. He wants to create noodles that are delicious, safe, cheap, easy to prepare, and can last months without refrigeration. That's a tall order. For an entire year, he experiments in that shed using common household tools. Nothing fancy, no high-tech lab, just a man, a shed, and determination. His big breakthrough comes from watching his wife make tempura. When the batter hits the hot oil, the water evaporates instantly. Boom! Eureka moment! He develops the flash frying method that dehydrates the noodles and makes them practically immortal. Chicken ramen is born. All you need is hot water, a seasoning packet, and you're done. 3 minutes. Now here's the genius part. The recipe fit perfectly with a society undergoing rapid urbanization. Millions of workers with little time and even less money. Factory workers needed something fast. Office workers needed something cheap. Students needed something that didn't require a kitchen. But hold on. This brings up an interesting question. When Ando first launched chicken ramen, it cost 6 times more than fresh noodles. 6 times! So how the hell did a product that was way more expensive than the traditional version end up conquering the entire world? Sometimes the most disruptive innovation isn't the product itself, it's the packaging. Third, 1971, the cup that changed everything. Ando travels to the United States in the 60s to promote his noodles. And he observes something fascinating. Americans were breaking his noodles into pieces, putting them in paper cups and eating them with forks. They didn't have chopsticks, they didn't have traditional bowls, they didn't even know how to properly slurp noodles, which is like half the experience, right? Ando has another epiphany. 1971, cup noodles arrives. A styrofoam cup that serves as packaging, pot and plate all at the same time. Perfect for vending machines, offices, and bullet trains. Japan is growing like crazy at this point. Convenience stores open 24/7 start appearing everywhere, and the perfect distribution channel does the rest. The United States adopts the format immediately. College students in their dorms, office workers at their desks. Everyone embraces the 3 minutes and I'm back to work lifestyle. But here's what's really interesting. The cup solved a cultural problem. In Japan, you could assume people had chopsticks and knew how to use them. In America, totally different ball game. The cup came with a fork, it was portable, you could eat it anywhere. It didn't feel foreign anymore, it felt convenient. And convenience, my friends, is the universal language. Wait, what about the rest of Asia? Did they just sit back and watch Japan take all the glory? Or did they decide to write their own version of this story? An entire continent took the same basic recipe and created 1,000 different flavors, while maintaining the same deadly logic of industrial scale. Fourth, Korea, Thailand, Indonesia, when Asia rewrote the playbook. South Korea launches its ramyun in 1963, just 5 years after Japan. By 1986, Nongshim launches Shin Ramyun, the iconic spicy ramen that literally everyone knows. Today, Korea leads worldwide per capita consumption. We're talking more than 70 packages per person per year. That's more than 1 package per week for every single person in the country. It's the warm embrace of a society that works more hours than almost any other on the planet. When you're pulling late nights at the office, when you're studying until 3 in the morning, when you're just too tired to cook but too hungry to sleep, ramyun is there for you. Thailand captures its identity in a package, flavors like tom yum that explode in your mouth, that perfect balance of sour, spicy, salty, and a little bit sweet, and they export massively. Indonesia. Oh man, Indonesia is on another level entirely. They popularize instant mie goreng. Their flagship brand, Indomie, doesn't just dominate the archipelago, it crosses oceans and conquers Africa, the Middle East, and even competes in Western markets. I've seen Indomie in corner stores in Brooklyn and London. That's wild. The formula is simple but brutal. Product innovation plus efficient supply chains plus accessible pricing equals regional scale and then global scale. Each country didn't just copy Japan. They looked at their own culinary traditions and asked, how do we put this in a package? Korea made it spicier because Koreans love spicy food. Thailand added lemongrass and lime. Indonesia brought in sweet soy sauce and fried shallots. They localized globally before that was even a business term. So what happened when China and Taiwan woke up? Oof! From the island to the continent, instant noodles became invisible social infrastructure. Fifth, Taiwan and China, when the giant awakens. Taiwan professionalizes the entire chain, starting in the late 60s. Grains, milling, packaging, distribution, everything integrated. They go from importing technology to exporting know-how. Taiwan becomes really good at the boring stuff that nobody talks about, but that makes everything work. Supply chain management, quality control, efficient manufacturing. But China is where the story reaches another dimension entirely. The country reforms its economy in the 80s and 90s. Hundreds of millions of farmers migrate to the cities. We're talking about the largest human migration in history. Train stations are packed with people carrying suitcases and cups of instant noodles. Local giants adapt flavors for each region. Spicy Sichuan, seafood Canton, beef Beijing. For the migrant worker who left his village and now sleeps in a shared dormitory with 11 other people, instant noodles aren't a luxury or junk food. They're reliable energy, ready in 3 minutes, costing less than a bus ride. Let me paint you a picture. You're 22 years old. You just moved from a rural village to Shenzhen to work in a factory. You share a tiny room with 5 other people. You work 12-hour shifts. You're tired. You're homesick. You miss your mom's cooking. But you heat up some water, pour it into a cup of noodles, and for 3 minutes you have something warm, something familiar,
something that tastes like home. That's powerful, but here comes the million-dollar question. Beyond the brands and the flavors, why did this simple product fit so perfectly with Asian economic growth?
It wasn't luck. It was the perfect convergence of a brilliant product and a unique historical moment.
6. The secret equation of success. Look closely at this formula. Accelerated urbanization plus massive incorporation of women into formal work, plus long working hours, plus hot water infrastructure everywhere, plus convenience stores on every corner, plus efficient logistics with modern highways and ports. The instant noodle isn't just food, it's bottled time. It's reliable convenience. Momofuku Ando's technical recipe married the macroeconomic recipe of the Asian miracle. Industrial parks, highways, container ports, and a new type of consumer who values speed and predictability above almost everything else. Think about what had to be true for instant noodles to work. You need reliable electricity so stores can stay lit and vending machines can work. You need clean water that's safe to drink when boiled. You need roads so trucks can deliver products. You need enough economic development that people can afford to buy packaged food instead of raw ingredients. In other words, instant noodles aren't just a product. They're an indicator of development. They're infrastructure. They're proof that a country has reached a certain level of economic complexity. And here's something nobody talks about. Instant noodles helped enable economic growth too. When workers can eat quickly and get back to work, productivity goes up. When students can study late without stopping to cook a full meal, education outcomes improve. When families save time on meal prep, parents can work more hours or help kids with homework. It's a virtuous cycle. Development enables instant noodles. Instant noodles enable more development. But wait, there's one more piece of the puzzle. How did these cheap noodles become cultural ambassadors for their countries?
Some nations export weapons, others export noodles. Guess which ones win more hearts and bellies?
7th, from Nissin to Indomie, soft power in 3 minutes. From Nissin to Indomie, from the Japanese cup to spicy Korean ramyeon, from Thai tom yum to Indonesian mie goreng, each brand tells its nation's story in 3 minutes of preparation time. Japan shows off ramen museums where tourists from around the world go to learn about innovation. There's literally a cup noodles museum in Yokohama where you can design your own cup and see the history of instant noodles. That's genius marketing. Korea makes sure their K-dramas are full of scenes of people eating ramyeon at midnight. You know the scene. 2 characters late at night sharing ramyeon, falling in love. It's in every single drama. That's not an accident. That's cultural export strategy. Indonesia conquers African palates with Indomie. I'm not kidding. In Nigeria, Indomie is so popular, it's become part of the local cuisine. People add their own ingredients, their own spices, make it their own. That's when you know you've really made it. Thailand positions its complexity of flavors, sour, spicy, sweet, all in one package. It's like a little taste of Bangkok. You can prepare anywhere in the world. And here's the thing, when someone in Argentina tries Korean ramyeon and loves it, they become curious about Korea. They might watch a K-drama, they might want to visit Seoul. When someone in Egypt grows up eating Indomie, Indonesia isn't just some faraway country anymore. It's familiar, it's comforting, that's soft power. And if you liked how we're connecting food, industrial innovation, and development strategy, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because here at The State Machine, we deconstruct everyday products to understand how entire countries work. Now let's be honest, it's time for the uncomfortable question everyone's thinking. What about health? Isn't this terrible for your body?
Neither heroes nor villains. Like everything in life, context matters more than the product itself.
8. the uncomfortable truth: health and smart usage. Let's be clear, eating instant noodles 3 times a day every single day is not a good idea. Just like eating pizza every day isn't great, or donuts, or fried chicken. Excess sodium, saturated fats, and preservatives aren't anyone's friend. But here's what's interesting. The market has already responded. Today, there are variants with less sodium, noodles that are air-dried instead of fried, versions with dehydrated vegetables, some with added protein. Companies are listening to health concerns and adapting. And crucially, let's not forget their role in emergencies. Industrial cafeterias, disaster zones, humanitarian aid, they're stable at room temperature, they're cheap, they're easy to distribute and prepare. When a hurricane hits or an earthquake destroys infrastructure, instant noodles can literally save lives because they don't require refrigeration or complex cooking. The key is context of use. A college student eating ramen 4 times a week while studying for finals is different from a family in a disaster zone receiving food aid. A construction worker having instant noodles for lunch because he's on a remote job site is different from someone who has access to fresh food but chooses instant noodles out of pure laziness. Every single meal, it's a tool. Like any tool, it can be used well or poorly. So with all this on the table, what can we copy from this story to innovate in Latin America, in Africa, in other developing regions? Because if they did it, why can't we?
What we really can copy from Asia if we stop making excuses.
Ninth, 3 lessons we can actually copy. First lesson: frugal innovation, solving enormous problems of time and cost with simple engineering, not necessarily with high technology. Momofuku Anto changed the world with tools that anyone had in their house: a shed, a wok, hot oil. That's it. You don't need a massive research budget or a PhD in food science to innovate. You need to understand your customer's problem deeply and solve it elegantly. Second lesson: complete supply chains. Having a good product isn't enough. You need agriculture, packaging, branding, and retail all pushing in the same direction. That's why Taiwan and China professionalize the entire chain. That's why Korean companies control everything from wheat sourcing to the convenience store shelf. In the whole American continent, for instance, we're really good at making one piece great. We have incredible farmers, or amazing chefs, or creative marketers. But we often don't connect the whole chain. The farmer can't reach the consumer. The great product sits in a warehouse because distribution doesn't work. We need to think in systems, not in pieces. Third lesson: pro-productive governance. Infrastructure that works, clear regulations, competition that rewards whoever serves the consumer better. South Korea wouldn't have gotten where it is without the government facilitating logistics, highways, reliable electricity, and a legal framework that allowed companies to scale. Notice, I'm not saying the government needs to pick winners or run companies. I'm saying it needs to create the conditions where businesses can grow. That's very different. The formula is tradition plus intelligent design plus efficient logistics equals sustainable scale. And look, I know what some of you are thinking. That's easy for Asia. They have different culture, they're more disciplined, they work harder. That's not the lesson. The lesson is they built systems. They connected the dots. They didn't just have good ideas. They executed them at scale. We can do that too. We have incredible culinary traditions in other parts of the world. We have talented people. We have growing markets. What we often lack is the boring stuff, the logistics, the supply chains, the long-term thinking. That's what we need to copy. And now, before we wrap up, I want to hear from you.
Everyone has a story with a bowl of noodles. Here's mine. What's yours? 10th, conclusions about the instant noodle phenomenon. Instant noodles are a concentrated tradition. They are save time. They are a perfect manual for how Asia converted culture into exportable industry. But beyond the numbers and strategies, instant noodles are a deeply human story of resilience, of ingenuity, of adaptation. They are about a man who lost everything and refused to give up. They are about countries that were devastated by war and rebuilt themselves. They are about workers and students and families who just needed something warm and fast and affordable. I remember my own instant noodle stories, late nights in college studying for exams, too broke to order takeout, and first trip to Asia, jet lagged and hungry at 2 in the morning, finding a convenience store and feeling so grateful for a couple of noodles. Camping trips where instant noodles were the easiest meal after a long day of hiking or having fun. These aren't just products, they are memories, they are comfort, they are I made it through a tough time fuel. So tell me in the comments, what's your favorite flavor? Do you remember that time instant noodles saved you during finals week? Or that late night at the office when everyone was exhausted but you still had work to do? Or that trip where you couldn't find anything else to eat and a cup of noodles felt like a gift from heaven? Because that's what makes this story special. It's not really about noodles, it's about what happens when innovation meets real human needs. When someone looks at a problem, really understands it deeply, and creates an elegant solution. When that solution spreads not because of fancy marketing, but because it really works. Because it makes people's lives better in small but meaningful ways. Momofuku Ando didn't set out to create a cultural phenomenon or change economic history. He just wanted to help hungry people eat something warm and good. But by solving that simple problem really well, he ended up doing all those bigger things too. That's the ultimate lesson. Start with a real human problem. Solve it elegantly, execute it well, build the systems to scale it. The rest follows. I'm Gus Perez, this is The State Machine. See you in the next episode, and seriously drop your instant noodle stories in the comments. I read all of them.